Okay guys, welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course make sure you do go hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Discord channel linked in the description below. You can find updates there, chat with other traders, chat with myself, share ideas there. So if you are looking to join the community, go check it out. Links in the description, also at the top of the chat. But as always, guys, we'll go through the USD side of things first, take a look at the dollar, go through USD majors, gold, silver, any requests, let me know. Put it in the chat, of course. Let me know timeframes as well, because, of course, most of the time I do spend my time on the 4-hour chart and timeframes within that kind of vicinity, so daily, hourly. But if you want me to be a bit more intraday, 15.5, let me know. And of course, I will take a look. But first things first, we've got the DXY, which for the most part, yesterday was pretty bearish. We did see a lot of downside. We rejected a pretty big level around 100.5. And I'm still pretty bearish for USD. I still expect to see a swing back to lows here, which is basically 98. I still think we can see a drop into that low. We're finding support a little bit this morning. Nothing significant, nothing that tells me, okay, the overall price is structure is going to head up. I want to see price clear these highs for me to actually start to become a bit bullish on dollar CHF, not dollar CHF. Don't know where that came from. On the DXY, if we were to break the high, that would make me bullish. And then I'll be looking for a pullback, a high low, and then a continuation back to the highs, which would take us to about 102 roughly. So that would be a nice bullish setup. But at the moment, we have technically broken through some structure to our left here. I'm not reading it too much. I do think it's a bit more of a minor break of structure rather than a significant one. So I do still expect to see us roll over and return back to support. Overall, the trajectory of the market is still very bearish, still a lot of momentum in the market as well. So I do think we would just naturally come back to these lows. In terms of a setup, we spoke about the retest of that zone yesterday. I said potentially if there was a double top there, a retest, that could be a nice entry. Price kind of just spilled to the downside since then, so difficult to find any entries if you weren't already in the trade. I think the same setup still stands. If you're looking for entries, you probably need to wait for market to create some more structure. Something like this, and then some pullbacks afterwards, because you've had that big drop. I mean, there's a minor kind of area of supply up here, but I probably wouldn't focus too much on that. It's not really in a significant place for me. But if we could start to form some structure, then that could look good in the lower time frame, like a 50-minute chart pullbacks, ride that momentum. Of course, that would be a trade more so for next week, but still, there could be some nice opportunities to follow there. But yeah, with the dollar, higher time frame, everything's still pointing down. Lower time frames, everything is still pointing down as well. Unless we clear the high here at 100.58, then yes, I would be bullish, looking for a swing back to the high. Of course, that's not the case just yet, so still looking at more downside for the US dollar. Euro USD, pretty much a mirror image or inverted mirror image of the DXY. Doing the exact same thing, finding a bit of resistance this morning. We were pretty bullish yesterday. Sharp rally to the upside. Again, I want to see Euro go and clear these highs here. That will make everything so much more clearer. If Euro USD could clear the highs there, well then at that point, I do think it's just a matter of time before we do end up back at major resistance. So overall for Euro USD, still bullish, just like the dollar, still bearish, still looking for more downside. Again, for me to change that bias for Euro, I would want to see price take out these lows. If Euro does take out the lows there, well, I'll be looking for a push into these lows and probably a bit further as well. And I wouldn't be looking for the big swing to the upside anymore. And that's only if we take out these lows. For now, of course, that's not the case. I still do think we can drive higher. Again, in terms of opportunities to trade Euro USD, find some opportunities. Again, similar to the DXY, I would wait for some structure to be created to the upside and then look to trade off the back of that. So if you can see a new high created, that would be great. Then you can possibly look for a retest somewhere, pullback, or even a retest of the high here, depending how big the breakout is. but something like that, so we know that we're in the right direction. And then yeah, find a higher low, and we can possibly trade it all the way to the swing high. So yeah, euro still very bullish. A little bit bearish this morning. Again, nothing significant, and always something to keep an eye on when you do see momentum. Is it significant or is it minor? Because the market's going to fluctuate. It's just not going to push in a straight line to your bias. It's going to push up, maybe consolidate, go against you before it does get there. That's if it even does get there, of course. So a move like this, although looking pretty bearish on the low time frames, hasn't done anything significant. Until we break through a low like this, that is pretty significant. Then yeah, I would expect more downside off the back of that. But for now, euro still bullish. Still looking for a push back to the high, but in terms of entries, like I said, I would wait for some structure to be created in my favor and then some pullbacks afterwards for some entries. Pound USD still looks roughly straightforward. Again, still trading above major resistance on the daily, weekly chart. This is the zone that we broke through, not yesterday, on Friday last week. Broke through very cleanly, a lot of momentum. Price has since come back to retest and use as support. So this is all good as long as price can stay above this and we don't suddenly drop below before the week ends. I retain that bullish bias for pound. I still think pound USD is likely to push back into the highs there at 1.35861. And again, an opportunity to trade pound would just be a retest of the support level. A nice double bottom. There's your first test, there's your second test, that's where you find your entry. Then you can trade it back to the highs here at 1.35800. Again, if USD is still going to be weak, that should help drive pound higher. I think as a whole, pound has been pretty strong, so that should help pound USD push up higher. And in terms of an entry, a double bottom there would be great. Stops below, still looking at pretty decent risk reward back into resistance. So yeah, pound USD still straightforward. As long as we hold 1.34, I like the buys. We've got that consolidation to our left there. Yeah, I think the confluences line up pretty well. So as long as we stay above that zone, looking for more upside for pound USD. Dollar CAD, still pretty bearish on this one. I think more downside is still very likely. I'm looking to see if we can get some type of like double top in this area for shorts, and then a continuation back into the low, and more significantly back into this area, which was a lovely kind of brief range in the market before we had this massive break to the upside where we saw a lot of momentum. I do think we are very likely to come back and retest that zone. So for dollar CAD, I am very bearish on this one, expecting us to get there. As long as we don't break structure, which would be this high, which of course gave us that low. So as long as price doesn't take out this high here, I remain bearish. Again, I've talked about two zones where I look to short from. We are trading in one of them right now, hence why I'm looking to short the market. And also this range up here as well. Lovely consolidation, market spewed to the downside there. Naturally, we could come back, retest that zone, and from there continue back to lows. But at the moment, this level looks to be holding well. I did talk about this V-shaped pullback here, which I didn't like, but things are starting to slow down. We saw a bit of bearish pressure come into the market there as well. So it looks like the market is starting to hold as resistance, and we can see some more downside off the back of that. So looking for that double top. If not, we'll keep an eye on that zone up there. But dollar CAD, I still expect more downside. Of course, that USD bias still helping me kind of decide that as well. In terms of Aussie dollar, again, looks like we could probably still see some more downside with this one. I'm not a big fan of the channel. Price is moving in very, very choppy, very ascending in nature. I do expect us to drop to the downside. Most of the time when you do see ascending channels like this, it's an indication that the market is very tired and likely to have some type of pullback or even reversal, but at least some type of deeper pullback before we do continue. And that's simply the move that I'm trying to take advantage of with Aussie dollar. Can we push down, find support? And that's the area which I want to get involved and take it back up again. And I'm looking at roughly this 0.625 area. If I could see price drive into that area there, that would be great. Find some higher lows and from there take it back to the swing highs and possibly further as well. So looking at a pretty big swing trade. Again, I do think Aussie dollar's kind of having somewhat of a reversal at these lows here. We've been bearish for quite a while. Looks like price is falling a bit of a bottom here. So I do think we can start trending the opposite direction. And that's the type of ideas I want to be trading, the swing lows to take it higher. Right now, the market is just very corrective in this channel. And simply, I don't want anything to do with that until we can break out of that, come back to some more appropriate areas where I can possibly look for a high low and see if I can swing it back to highs. NZUSD, bullish on this one as well, but still taking its sweet time. I've talked about a retest and a break of the highs here. So just above 602, sorry. If we can get a break and retest of that zone, that would be absolutely brilliant. I still would prefer if we can get a drive back to the lows here and possibly look for like a big double bottom there. So another push into the lows, then the swing. I don't mind, both look pretty good. I probably would prefer this opportunity just because it allows me to position myself a little bit better in the market, down at the lows, possibly hold for a much bigger swing rather than the breaking retest up here. But both I do expect to give me a decent move. NZUSD, same situation as Aussie dollar. We've kind of bottomed out here, really nice kind of reversal pattern. Now I'm kind of looking at this as a brief pause in the market for another continuation. So yeah, pretty bullish as a whole in NZUSD. This morning though, we have closed pretty bearish on that candle. Maybe we do get a drive lower back into the lows. If that's the case, then I'll start to talk about some longs around 0.585, but we'll have to wait and see, wait for price to actually get there first, and then we can talk about the buys. But for now, I think NZUSD is in the middle of nowhere really, so I wouldn't touch price. This is kind of a ranging market, and at the moment, we're kind of trading in the middle of that, so I would stay away personally until we come to some more clearer areas to operate in. In terms of gold, yeah, gold is still operating in the channel. Again, if gold is going to be bullish, I do want to see price break above this bearish channel, clear the highs, and then we mean business. And then at that point, I do expect to see a swing back to the highs essentially, and probably further as well, of course, the all-time highs past 3,500. But I've been pretty bearish on gold since we have rejected the highs of the channel. Simply looking for a third lower high in the sequence, 1, 2, 3 potentially, and of course, if that would be a lower high, it would take us back to support. So that's kind of what I've been anticipating this week, ever since we rejected the level or the upper channel at the start of the week. I've been looking for us to sell off. That hasn't been the case. We have seen some downside, yes, but not really seen price rip to the downside like we have seen in previous swings. So maybe this is a correction for a big push. Now, I wouldn't try and anticipate that or call that to happen. I'd rather price just make the move. Then, okay, if I see the breakout, then I'm bullish, and then we can talk about some retests and probably some intraday longs to ride it up. But yeah, because gold is taking its time, I'm starting to lose confidence that gold is going to give us that drop, because I would have expected it to be underway by now. It could still happen as long as we hold the channel. It could still very much happen, but I would have expected it to see some more momentum by now. So if I do see gold break to the upside, I'll quickly change my bias to bullish, and targets back at 3,500. So I'll just watch to see what price does at this upper end of the channel. And then of course you got silver, which yeah, not a fan of, to be honest. Just very, very flat overall. Again, I've spoken many times about my long-term bias for silver. I do think price is still likely to push back into highs and see new highs past that point. I do think the bigger move is still likely to the upside, but I'm not seeing an opportunity to trade it, especially when the market is very flat, especially when we're trading in resistance right now, and definitely into an area of supply as well, where the market had a really big meltdown earlier in the year, and we've just about tapped through that as well. So possibly there could be some nice buys if we drive back to the lows again. Might be a nice bounce there to take advantage of, but for the most part, I don't really see a good setup here for silver. It's just too sideways. Still bullish, but don't have an opportunity to trade it. So just biding my time with silver for now. Excuse me. Raheel, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Dollar yen, we will take a look. Good morning, DT. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're good. Ann King, what is up? Yes, we'll take a look at euro yen. No problem. Dmart, what is up? Welcome to the stream. But yeah, we'll probably go through some yen pairs whilst we're on the topic. But yeah, we'll go through dollar yen and euro yen. So with USD, the yen pairs were very bearish yesterday, weren't they? We rejected a few levels on the yen pairs, and quite a lot of them spilled over to the downside pretty aggressively. And yen throughout the day kind of gained more strength. But yeah, dollar yen, really nice rejection of this level. This is a setup we were discussing at the start of the week and even last week as well, about this potential head and shoulder pattern. It looks to be playing out pretty well. Of course, hasn't seen the completion. We still would like to see price get to the neckline and snap through that, because my expectation is still swing back to 140. So I still do expect to see a lot more downside here actually for dollar yen. But it has been a solid reaction at that 145.500 level. In terms of opportunities, I wouldn't say there's much to do right now, because we're just trading in the middle of nowhere. You know, that's our major support, that's our major resistance, and price is pretty much 60% of the way down from the high. So I wouldn't do anything here really. Yeah, I wouldn't even try and look for some lower time frame continuation to try and even, you know, get involved and write that down. I think it's just not the best area to do that. You leave yourself a little bit exposed for stop loss, random wicks, more kind of speculative price action will be more likely in these areas. So I think getting kind of wicked out randomly, you have a far greater chance in these areas rather than when you're up at the highs. And even when you do up at the highs, if you do get wicked out, which of course you could definitely happen to you, you can always re-enter, and you're still at a safe place relatively, and you still maximize your risk to reward as well. Whereas here, not so much the case. But yeah, dollar yen, lovely reaction yesterday. Like I said, I do think there's still more downside to be had. Still looking at 140, but this is our next kind of big checkpoint, because of course we could visit this level and reverse as well. So I'll definitely keep eyes on 142.5, but I do think 140 is still a likely target for the dollar yen. Basically what I'm looking at is the continuation of this bearish trend. It's been in place since the start of the year and hasn't really shown signs of ending yet. I mean, it is still a little bit fatigued, so I do kind of expect us to kind of reverse or see a bigger pullback soon. But it looks to me momentum is just kicked back in again with the bears. Lovely bearish leg last couple of weeks. This, I'm looking at the retracement of that leg to of course give us that right shoulder for the head and shoulder pattern. Now I expect prices to keep falling. So UJ very bearish, and of course my bias on USD expected to be bearish as well. That does play into dollar yen shorts hands as well. Euro yen though, I'm not a big fan of at all. It's just very choppy, very messy. It does look like price is coming back into a nice area of support though, so you might see a nice bounce as we come into this area, but I'm not as confident as I was at the start of the week. Price action has been choppier than I expected, so I do think we can have a bit of a bounce here, but I would probably just keep it intraday, to be honest. I don't think we'll have that big move that I was looking for at the start of the week, because momentum has dried out. We've become very corrective in this channel here. We've now broken to the downside. I still think this is a nice place for a bounce. You know, solid resistance, really strong break to the upside. You know, coming back to fresh support. I do think this is a likely place for a bounce, but I'm not as confident that we do swing back to highs anymore. If you can get it back to this high, great. But I probably wouldn't even take it past that, to be honest. And I'll probably try and secure some gains along the way too. So yeah, Euro Yen to me is just a very messy pair right now. As a whole in the 4-hour chart, this is the price action we're trading in. Not great at all, especially if you're favored more trending conditions. This is not trending conditions, so I'll stay away from Euro Yen if that's what you're looking for. But yeah, I do like that zone at 163. I think we're likely to bounce from it, but I'm not expecting anything big. I do think we could probably attack some of these lows here again. So Euro Yen buys short term look good. Long term, I'll be a bit sketchy. Price action isn't great either. Bratia? No, I'm definitely saying your name incorrectly, so I do apologize, but I hope you're well. I have open position on dollar yen. Okay. What are you buying, selling? Let us know. Tricky lanes name. Luyanda? Luyanda? Hope I'm saying that correctly as well. Morning, what's up? Any analysis on Bitcoin? Yes, I'll take a look. Pound USD, I think the bulls are still solid. Yeah, I do agree. I do think buys are still in control. As long as we maintain 1.34, that level there, I do think we can push through that. What's up, Kojo? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. So in terms of BTC, it's been an interesting move. The market has slid to the downside. We broke through support yesterday, which I was expecting to hold. I was expecting this level to hold and give us a swing back to the highs there, but unfortunately did not see that happen. It looks to me that we could be running out a bit of steam here for Bitcoin, because of course we did see new all-time highs not too long ago. Price did wick through the high there pretty aggressively last week. From a daily perspective, we're starting to lose steam a little bit as well. I still think the buys look good. The overall market structure is still bullish. Do not get me wrong. It's just because we just took out all-time highs, it does make me expect to see maybe a bit of a sell-off at some point in time now. But we are just coming into structure again, retesting some levels here to the left. So I do think this is still a nice place for a buy and possibly a continuation back to the swing high at 112. But yeah, I'm not too sure about how far I'm expecting Bitcoin to run, because if you look historically, when we do get to the all-time highs, we do tend to rip to the upside, and that's what gives us the bigger move. If price kind of just about clears it, not a good sign. It probably means that we're probably going to have a bit of a tank soon. And again, it might just be a push down for us to continue going higher. I'm not saying that we're going to have an absolute meltdown, but I would expect to see more momentum, and that would give me more confidence that we could be in a bit of a bull run. At the moment, we're looking a bit fatigued, but it's still coming to a nice level for a buy. 105, 300. I think this is still a great place for a long, possibly a bit like a bullish, bull flag pattern there. Looking for buys at the lows for a continuation. I still do second that, but I do worry when we do get back to the highs there for Bitcoin. I do worry. Okay, so I'll go through pound USD. What's up, Godfrey? Good morning. Pound Aussie. Okay, we'll take a look for you. No problem. So yeah, pound USD, I do agree. Buyers still look to be in control of the market as a whole. I do think we are still seeing strength from the buyers. Of course, this morning not so much. The market has had a bit of a sell-off there intraday. But in terms of the overall trend, the overall direction of the market is still very much up. The only way I do look to change my bias, or perhaps pause my bias, is if I do see price close firmly back below this level here. because then we're just back to square one. You know, we had a lovely breakout last week, but if price just tops out here and then closes back below that same level, well, that's more of a bearish signal than a bullish one. So I would expect intraday or intra-week to see some sells. Listen, the bigger move might still be to the upside, but it will probably present some nice sells for the time being if we were to close back underneath. And maybe we actually see a bigger drop. That could still happen too. So pound USD, I am bullish for now as long as we hold 1.34. I do agree buys still look to be in charge of the market as well. And as I mentioned at the start of the stream, a nice double bottom could present some really nice buying opportunities. You know, there's your first test, second test. That's where you find your entries, stop loss below. Could still be looking at a pretty decent risk reward back into highs. So I do definitely agree with that. I think the opportunity looks good. I think DXY is still likely to fall as well and come back to 98. So I still do expect that to happen, which should of course push pound USD higher, but we do need to stay above 1.34. So I'll keep a close eye on that, because that will make or break the trade setup for me. Okay, so we'll go through pound Aussie next for Godfrey. DT, I have Euro Aussie, USD, and pound Aussie that are confirming my bi-weekly strategy. Wish me luck. Okay, best of luck, DT. I have a couple others, but it's only been 1 week on those, so they're still in mid-testing. Okay, so are you testing your strategy on those pairs right now, DT? Are they all giving you signals at the moment? Live from Ghana. What's up, Kojo? Wicked. Welcome to the stream. Any pairs you're looking at, let us know. Okay, let me go through pound Aussie. So I haven't actually been looking at pound Aussie too much. I've been keeping an eye on pound NZD and Euro Aussie. Pound Aussie still kind of in this grind higher. I'm not too confident about the bigger swing to the upside as in the continuation of the bullish trend, just because of how fatigued we look. If we can clear resistance here well, then that would convince me. Especially if it's like a strong breakout with a lot of momentum, then yeah, I only do see price pushing to the upside at that point. If we do start to stall here, maintain this kind of corrective nature and see a bit of a break of structure, we've got a nice trend line here, perhaps see a strong break of that could definitely invite a lot more downside and a push back to these lows here. So pound Aussie, I feel like again is in an area which is quite pivotal. If we respect it well and sell off, I do think we're coming right back to these lows. If we see a strong break, then we could very much see a swing back to the highs. The overall trend is still very bullish for pound Aussie, so you know if the trend's going to continue, then you would expect us to swing back to the highs there anyway. But now's not the best time to even be looking to try and trade that bias. If you are looking for trend continuation to follow the move, I would advise to wait for at least this level to break, especially when we've been looking so corrective and respected it just recently as well. Buying into that doesn't make much sense. So waiting for price to clear resistance and then the opportunity above the level would make a lot more sense, of course. And likewise, if we do respect the level, see a strong break of that trend line, there might be some pullbacks on an intraday level to ride that momentum back down again. So pound Aussie, I would say I'm probably leaning more towards the sells, but I wouldn't do anything with that. You know, even if I was leaning more towards the buys, I wouldn't do anything yet. I'll still wait for the break to the upside, then I'll look to follow it. Same thing with the sells. I'll wait for the break to the downside, then look to follow it as well. But the key takeaway is just how corrective we are. So naturally, I do expect us to push down. Corrective structure like this, I normally look for the sell, especially coming to some resistance there too. But we'll see how price gets on. I wouldn't say there's a clear-cut opportunity just yet, but eyes peeled to see if we can break to the upside or break to the downside. Key thing I'm looking for is momentum, because we've been starved of that recently for pound Aussie. If we can see price kind of break to the downside well, or to the upside well, that could be a nice indication that, okay, momentum's back. We might see the market trend well again. Let me know your bias on Pound Aussie. Not the biggest fan of the pair right now. Yep, all in profit, nice. Nothing but $1 to $3, but it's $3 more than what I had. It's more important. Of course, the strategy. Yeah, I mean, that's the focus. The monetary side comes later. And, even if you had a large account you're trading with now, if you don't have a strategy that's going to give you a return, there's no point even touching the account, of course, because you're probably going to lose the money. So yeah, focus on the strategy. That's the most important thing. Yeah, understand the strategy well, get good at it. Get good at refining it as well. How could you possibly lose less or win more? And the funny thing with trading, it's always about tweaks. A lot of people think it's a big kind of solution you need to come up with to make profit with the market. An edge is something very slight. And the more trades you take and the more sample size you have, the greater you see the edge play out. And if you take 10 trades with the same edge, you could be in drawdown. You could take 20 trades, still be in drawdown. But if you start taking 50, 100, 200, well, you will see the edge play out over those that size of sample. So it's only tweaks you need to really look to make. You can take a break-even strategy and turn it profitable just by refining it a little bit. So yeah, once you start to understand your strategy well, tweak it, improve it, and that's the key thing to focus. The monetary side will always come later. But yeah, Pound Aussie, not the biggest fan of it right now. We'll see what price does at resistance. If you do break through, great. Could be some nice buys afterwards, but on the other hand, there could be some nice sells as well. I'm kind of just waiting to see what the next move is for price. I was long on New Zealand CHF, but I am out of that position now. Price did trail me out. I had an entry back over here last Friday. Stocks below the low. Was in some profit, but price decided to turn around. We broke through the high here, which is where I went to break even. Because at that point, we've broken structure. Now price is in my favor. I didn't want now price to go against me and take an unnecessary loss, especially where I've seen evidence of price taking out structure, breaking resistance in my favor. So I did lock in my stop loss at that point. My first target for the trade was at the high here, which was roughly around 1 to 2 roughly. And then the next target would have been up at the highs here. But as we can see, price did take a U-turn there and knocked me off the trade there. So with this position, I'm still interested in buying New Zealand CHF. I will still look to see what we can do at the lows. I'm going to keep a bit more of an eye on Aussie CHF as well, because it's the same kind of trade. Aussie CHF longs, New Zealand CHF longs. The idea is that you're looking for a bigger push to the upside. So I'm just seeing whichever will give me the better opportunity. In terms of re-entering this position, I would want to see price push back into the lows again. This is where I had my stop loss for the position. It's kind of where I want to get it again. I don't want to see price take out this low, because this is the low that gave us this high. This is the swing I'm looking to try and see the continuation of. So if price does push to the downside and take out this low, well then I completely back away. At that point, we might be looking at a sell back to these lows. So of course, I don't want to be looking to buy it if that's the case. But for now, still respecting structure. I still like the support level here. If we can return there, I'll look to see what type of entries we can get and hopefully find some buys. As I said, the Aussie CHF is also looking interesting as well. This one's been pretty bearish too, but I'm more focused on this swing here, which again gave us this big drive. I'm looking to see if the market can start to respect this area of support, which at the moment is breaking through, but if it does recover, it will interest me. If we do keep selling off and again take out this low here, again, that will definitely put me off any buys, and perhaps we are going to push back into the lows there for Aussie CHF. But the way I look at the market, I still do see us coming back to retest this consolidation. And I see this to be as bit of a correction really for us to push higher. So I'm just trying to time the buys well if they do present themselves, of course. If not, I'll stay away and stay in my lane. But yeah, New Zealand CHF was a nice kind of rally, just didn't really get going off that break of structure. I think NZD just hasn't really been that strong. CHF, I didn't really see the weaknesses I was after as well. And it kind of lines up pretty well with the yen pairs too. Yen pairs did see some nice rallies over the past few days, but yesterday everything turned around. Yen became pretty strong, and they have seen a lot of downside. Literally using one specific setup for the certain type of daily candle, and I think the setup is what's wrong. The profits. What's wrong? The profits as it breaks out of the algo. I'm not too sure what you mean there, DT. Are you saying yeah, I don't understand what you mean. I think you might have missed the word out there too. But again, there's nothing wrong with focusing on one setup. I think one setup's actually very, very good, especially in the beginning as well, because trading is difficult as it is. Trying to learn 2 or 3 setups at the same time isn't going to go well for your consistency. If you can find one setup, get good at that, then you can always add later and a second or a third setup. Again, I reckon focus more in terms of condition. Like if you have a trending market, what's one setup you can focus on for that? If you have a sideways market, what's one setup you can focus for that? That way you can have a bit of flexibility, and that way kind of you don't find yourself stuck, because if conditions change, you can change with it as well. Yeah, I still don't know what you're talking about, DT. It doesn't really make sense. I'm not using one specific setup with a certain type of daily candle. I think that setup is what's wrong. The profit as it breaks out of the algo alpha. Are you saying there's something wrong with your strategy, or I don't understand? Anyway, we'll go through some of the yen pairs. We'll go through the rest of the yen pairs because they've been pretty bearish, and I wonder if the yen pairs are trying to reverse. I mean, I was going through the yen basket earlier today, which has had a very sharp recovery. And again, I'm still quite bullish as a whole in the yen basket. I do think we're still likely to break higher. I still think that's the bigger move for the yen. So long term, I still do favor strength for the yen, which means pound, yen, euro, yen, Aussie, CAD. All those yen pairs I still think can drive lower. But timing is everything, of course. We might still see this up move, but we might still consolidate for a few more weeks. Might even break down first before we push up. So it's all well and good having that bullish bias, but the key thing is there set up to take advantage of that? And at the moment, no, not really. The market is quite sideways, but if we can start to shift structure completely, something like this, then yes, there would be a setup to take advantage of. 1, 2, take the third, and then we take some buys. But we're still a long, long way away from that. So at the moment, yeah, with the yen basket, we've had a sharp rally. Is this price potentially putting a high low into reverse? Again, I'm not too sure. We need more information. We need to see more information if price actually goes and takes out these highs. Well, if that's the case, then of course that is a higher low. And then at that point, a pullback and a continuation would be my likely bet. We could still potentially sell off from here. Market still coming back into some areas of supply here where we did consolidate and saw a very strong drop lower. We could still see the yen react from here and see a continuation back to the lows. I wouldn't say it's something I would bet on or a trade setup I would look to try and take. Overall, the conditions for the yen is very, very choppy, very stagnant. It's not like we're trending smoothly anymore. So I wouldn't try and take advantage of a setup like that. It's not of high quality. I wouldn't try and take advantage of that. So with the yen, I need a bit more information here. Is this a high low? Possibly. If we take out the high, of course, that confirms it. And then, yeah, I would be looking at probably a recovery for the yen back to the highs there at 7,250. We could still sell off, but I'm not the fan of the way the market moved. Very, very aggressive, kind of like a V-shaped pattern, which, again, as we know, is more of a reversal pattern rather than a continuation. So, yeah, the yen is looking quite bullish there. And, of course, that has given us strong moves to the downside for quite a few of the yen pairs. So we came back into resistance, respected it well. A nice sell. But again, I haven't been so keen to try and short pound yen because we did break structure just about not too long ago. So if I'm going to sell pound yen, I need to see some bearish structure come into play. And then, yeah, I will look for some shorts off the back of that. But again, still very, very... we're still a long way away from that forming, so I'm not too focused about trying to short pound yen at the moment. And of course, we're coming to some bullish areas here, which might give us a bit of a bounce. But again, I wouldn't be looking to try and trade that back to highs, especially when that previous swing didn't even form new highs itself. Price just met resistance, respected it very well. So, yeah, pound yen, I mean, the swing I was betting on this week was this up move. That's happened. So I would stay away. I would stay away from pound yen now and wait for more information. Is price still looking to continue, or are we looking to reverse? Yeah, I need some more information. And again, there will be times in the market where you do need just more information to have a clear-cut bias. Excuse me. I meant the setup is what driving the profits. Okay. Yeah, I mean, of course, the setups is what you're gonna be trading. That's your edge at the end of the day. It's not that you're just lucky every time you enter a trade. It's the setups you're focusing on. What's up, Dark Sean? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Now is US 35 minute. Okay, we'll take a look. Waiting for retracement to Dow Jones. I was going to say what is DJ? But on the Dow Jones to 0.6, 0.7 fib level yesterday, 5 minute bearish leg for a potential sell. Okay, yeah, the indices were very bearish yesterday, weren't they? I had a look at them in the afternoon when we kind of had that momentum come into the market yesterday. But very, very strong sell. Didn't quite make it back to resistance the past couple of days. I still think the bigger move is to the upside for US 30, S&P, NAS. I still think we are likely to break all the way back to the all-time highs. So that is still the direction overall I want to be trading in. But as for the 5 minute chart, let us see. It's a bit flat on the 5 minute, I'm not going to lie. It was a pretty big move down, ended up breaking structure. I was looking for a bit of a bounce there yesterday, but didn't see much of it. But yeah, very, very big move for US 30. Possibly might still see another push down. I wouldn't mind the push back into this kind of area, 42,400. Another drive into that, I think naturally would be a nice place for a sell. Again, I do think the bigger move is up, so I wouldn't probably look for something like that, which of course very much could happen. I don't really see a good buy setup either, to be honest. But I do think this is a nice place for a short. You said you're looking for the 0.6 to 0.7 on the fib level of yesterday, 5-minute bearish leg for potential sell. Okay, so I assume you're looking at this fib here. So 0.6, 0.7. So you're looking at this area here roughly, I would imagine. Yeah, I mean, I do agree. Lines up pretty well with the high over here on the left, which is the main kind of area I would focus on. So yeah, I do agree. I think that's a nice place to be looking to short, coming back into structure there, kind of like a head and shoulder pattern, if you will, left head, right shoulder. But yeah, really nice resistance coming into a healthy area of the fib as well. Of course, really big bearish leg breaking through the lows there too. So naturally, there's a good chance we could see a continuation of that. Now, because the higher time frames are bullish, overall, if I expand to the daily chart, the trend is to the upside over the past few days. So I wouldn't be looking for anything too crazy to the downside on the 5-minute. Like I wouldn't be looking for a swing back to the lows here at 41,800. That could be the case. You might get there, but I think I'll be a bit more conservative with targets, to be honest, just because I expect the bigger move still to be back to the highs. But yeah, at the moment, the market's still very flat. I would avoid opportunities here. I think that's what a lot of people are going to probably chop around and get some unnecessary losses. But if you can pull back to an area of value, like this 42,400 area, I think that's a sensible place for a sell. And still capitalize on a decent move to the downside as well. So I do like that setup there for US 30. It does add up. It was a very strong push to the downside yesterday. I was not expecting that for US 30 or the other indices too. I do think we can see probably another reaction, but my expectation is still more upside long term. As for NAS 100, this one, again, very aggressive sell. Not too far away from the all-time highs. Again, that's what I'm expecting to see NAS end up at. Dropping to the 4-hour chart, I did mention this is a nice place for a buy. Didn't really see price react to that level at all. I mean, there was a bit of a wick there, so there was a minor reaction, but I was looking for price to bounce from here and continue a lot higher. Did not see that happen. I have to say, the way price did drop was very aggressive. So you had a very aggressive drive higher, brief consolidation, and a very aggressive drive lower. So a very impulse kind of sideways impulse, which again does resemble an inverse V-shaped pattern, which of course is more of a reversal pattern where I would expect to see a bit of a correction and then a continuation lower. So for US 100, I do think you can probably capitalize on another drive lower too. I still think the bigger move is back to the highs there. It just might mean that we do push back into some support now, perhaps maybe even the lows here. I don't see why not. We could even see that happen before we do continue higher. But in terms of the 5-minute charts, I think probably a similar setup to US 30 really. I'll wait for price to kind of push at least back into one of these two areas. Anywhere kind of within this zone. And shorts from there look really good. I mean, there's a brief area above us over here that might also give us a bit of a sell. But I would personally focus in this area. Lines up pretty well with resistance to our left there too. Prior major highs over there gave us some really big selling opportunities. Prices, of course, had that breakout. We've broken back inside. So now naturally a retest of that zone could give us a nice sell. So yeah, for US 30 and NAS, they both look very bearish, I must say, especially from the sell from yesterday. So because of that, I do think more downside is likely for both of them. I do think long term is likely to the upside for both of them too. So I wouldn't be looking for any long term sell there at all. But yeah, intraday, 5-minute, 15-minute, I think shorts is definitely where it's at. So what's that? 21,500 I'll call it. And then for US 30, 42,400 I'll call it. No problem, Commander. Happy to help. But yeah, that's kind of where I'll focus at for the indices. S&P 500, whilst we're on the topic as well, I'd imagine, yeah, pretty much the same situation as well. Yeah, very aggressive push to the upside. We cleared the highs on Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah, Wednesday. Didn't last too long. Price came straight back down. And again, similar characteristic in terms of strong impulse up, strong impulse back down again. So I do expect to see some type of drop. As for the S&P on the higher time frames, I do think we're likely to push back into the swing high at 61.43. I think that's where we're likely to end up. I don't expect us to take out this low. So I do expect us to at least reverse from there. But again, judging the impulse here, the impulse back down again, seeing how everything is situated, I do think we can probably get at least another push down. It might just be back into the lows here before we do reverse, but that's still worthwhile trying to capitalize on that. So yeah, for the S&P as well, bearish bias intraday, long-term bias, still bullish of course, but still providing some nice setups to trade, to take advantage of that. But I think probably NAS looks the cleanest, I would say. NAS or US 30. Probably I'll lean more towards NAS. But yeah, really nice push to the downside yesterday. Wasn't expecting that. Really aggressive move. Doesn't change anything in terms of the significance of the market structure on the higher time frame. Still seeing higher highs and higher lows. We're still firmly above the 200 moving average on the daily as well. So that still does set the tone for the S&P in terms of being bullish. But yeah, strong rejection yesterday. Might see a bit more downside today. But 61.43, the all-time highs, is still very much a target. Morning, Ahmed. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hassan, love the stream. Appreciate it. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. Make sure you do hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads. Again, when you do like the stream and subscribe, it does help the content of the channel be promoted more. So if you do want to do us a favor, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. It does really help out, and I do really appreciate everyone who has done that so far. What's up, United SA from Cape Town? Ooh, bit wicked. Cape Town, one of my favorite places to visit. Okay, let me have a quick look at. We are looking a tad bearish this morning, aren't we? But again, if we are going to continue higher, I need to see more structure being taken out to the upside. So Euro USD, I'm still pretty bullish on, just the market structure isn't quite clear. So I would refrain from looking for any entries. Again, you have times in the market where maybe you're bullish or bearish, but the setup isn't quite there. That's the time where your discipline and your consistency comes in to not take any unnecessary positions and just stay out the market until the time is right. Because the worst thing to do is enter a trade when you're not really confident in it. Not necessarily confident that is guaranteed to work out, because of course you never can be, but at least confident that there's an edge at play and the setup does reflect your plan and reflect how you want to trade the market. to a good degree. Because if you're entering trades which are outside of your plan and just kind of off a whim, then you're not going to be confident when it comes to managing the position, especially when you're in a bit of drawdown. You might panic, close the trade early, or even when you're in profit, you close the trade early too, because it starts to come, pull back against you. You're out of the trade. You're not really there to hold through the whole move. Trading is as difficult as it is. You want to be confident in everything, every decision you make, and see it through. As of this situation here, like I said, I'm looking for a swing back to the highs, but the price action isn't there, so I would hold my horses for now. There are the USD pairs which look a lot clearer. Pound USD, definitely one of them. I can get a much easier understanding of what's happening with this pair. Strong break of resistance, clear-cut trend to the upside. Now coming back to retest that support. A double bottom there would be a nice opportunity for a long. And a swing back to the highs makes a lot of sense. So the conditions of pound USD are just relatively straightforward, easy to understand, and easy to base a trade from as well. Euro, not the case. So I would stay away, even though pound and euro 85% of the time do the same thing. So the chances are, if you do get long on pound, you probably see a rally with euro as well. But then again, it's all just comes to your choice of setup, because maybe if you choose euro, you get wicked out, whereas pound, you don't. And that could be the difference between a win and a loss. For euro, I'm looking at the highs at 1.14 to sell. Okay, looking to short euro. Yeah, I'm pretty bullish on it, so I wouldn't be looking to sell myself. I don't mind that. I think it's a solid resistance to be looking to short from. 1.14 basically lands at the high here. So I do second that in terms of it's a decent level to short from. I do think the bigger move for euro is likely a push back to highs. So if we do get there, we do react, I do think it would be more of a short-term sell before we do push on further. But yeah, I do think it's a nice place for a short. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. Possibly we could sell off from there too. But judging the current trend of the market, which if I expand to the daily chart, still overly bullish, I still think there's a high chance that we do rally back to highs. So for that reason, I would expect price to eventually break through 1.14. But there could be a first initial test. Price gets there, reacts well, and there could be a nice short for a day or two, which could again give some nice returns on. Just because the bigger move is to the upside doesn't mean there won't be any good shorting opportunities. And of course, I could be wrong with that as well. So yeah, I do like the area which you're looking to short from. It did give us a meaningful swing down. So it does make sense to be looking to try and short from the high. But if price can break through those levels, I think that's a clear sign to us that, okay, euro is back bullish again. We're breaking through significant structure to the upside. And at that point, I should be expecting us to head right back to the highs at 1.155 or 56. So yeah, for the sells, I wouldn't look to hold that for a while. Yusuf, good morning. I hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on seeing how some of these weekly candles do close, because of course it is coming to Friday right now, which of course is the end of the week. So some of these weekly candle closures will paint the picture for the week ahead. What's up, Tony Gold? Welcome to the stream, man. Appreciate it. So yeah, we'll keep a close eye on some of these weekly candles, because they'll make things a little bit clearer sometimes going into next week in terms of what we're going to do. In terms of the dollar, yeah, I think in terms of the dollar, let me just, actually no, I'm not going to delete them. There we go. So in terms of the dollar, of course last week was very bearish, but we did close directly into support, so it wasn't that significant. Strong close, yes, but if we're just going to close directly into support, we could still very much bounce that support. If it closed below support, that's more pivotal. That would imply more downside. So the biggest takeaway this week anyway, We've had a wick to the upside. Prices pull back. Again, I know we still got 12 hours or 10 hours left before this candle does close. So a lot can still happen, but more or less we're probably going to look something like this by the end of the week. Not a lot to take away from that, apart from support still holding. I still do think we can drop lower, but support still holding. So we might still even bounce higher before we do push down for the upcoming week, next week. In terms of euro, pretty much the same outlook there as well, which is nice push to the upside, but still respecting resistance there. Probably why we've had a tough time trying to really continue this week. Because again, last week's candle closed very nicely to the upside, nice and bullish, but still struggling at resistance there as well. I do think price can rip through that, but it's going to take some momentum. Maybe something like NFP next Friday could be the catalyst for that. Pound USD last week was very, very bullish, closed well. This week's candle, not much to report on apart from just a small bearish candle, almost a doji. But the key thing is we're holding above resistance, which is a key thing, because we had a very, very bullish candle last week, breaking resistance. If we were to close back below that level, now that would be a big red flag. That would tell us that, okay, pound USD is possibly having some type of fake out here, and that we could probably have a bit of a sell. This week's candle just tells us that support is still holding, and there's still a good possibility that next week's candle can give us a continuation to the upside. So for pound USD, I will still be looking at buys. Dollar CAD, not much to take away from that one, to be honest. Strong close last week, still bearish. This is still our last high, which gave us the low there. We've pulled back within that. Current candles, a small bullish candle, doesn't really mean too much, apart from just telling us momentum is still with the sellers here. So again, next week's candle could give us a bit of a push up as well, but I still do expect us to sell off as long as we don't take out this high here. I do think we are likely to come back and test that consolidation to our lefts. Aussie dollar, I'm just going through the USD pairs at this point. I'll take some of the yen pairs as well. Aussie dollar, mixed bag with this one. Past few candles have been quite small in size, not really lacking a lot of momentum, a lot of wicks as well. Last week's close, nothing significant. I know it closed fairly bullish, but it just closed back into these areas with all these wicks to our left, so it doesn't really mean much. And again, with this week's candle as well, wick to the upside, still respecting resistance there. Now we're closing back within the range. So Aussie dollar, not a lot to take apart from just the market is ranging, really. That's the biggest thing to take away from those candlesticks there. New Zealand dollar, I would imagine the same thing. Yeah, still rejecting resistance. Nice close last week. Implied momentum is back with the buyers, but we just closed within resistance there. So not a lot to take away from that this week as well. Just showing us signs that we're still within the range. Gold. Last week, nice close, but again into resistance. This week, a bit of a wick to the downsides. Not much to take there. And again, sometimes the weekly candles don't really give you much of a story. Sometimes they do give you a big story. Sometimes they give you absolutely nothing. The key thing is not to make up something where there's not. Right now, gold, nothing really to take away from that. Dollar CHF, still very bearish with this one. I like this week's candle as well. Nice wick to the upside, pull back there. Strong rejection. The key thing for dollar CHF is that price is still trading underneath this level here. We had a very nice piercing wick to the upside a couple weeks back. Nice piercing wick. Then last week's candle, nice and bearish. So I do think there's a very high chance that we still push into support there at 0.812 and break through that, even continue further. So I think dollar CHF is still looking very good for the sellers. And again, this week's candle entices that as well. Nice wick to the upside. We've pulled back. I do think we can spill over. So for the most part, a lot of kind of mixed signals, but the clearer USD pairs, I would say, is pound and dollar CHF. Dollar CHF more so. And dollar CAD, I would say, looks pretty clear too. Other USD pairs kind of just ranging. Not doing a lot for us. Hassan, look at Aussie CAD in the 4 hour. Lower highs, do you think we are bearish? And is 0.886 support valid to look for longs? Okay. Okay, so do I think 0.886 was it? 0.8, yeah, 886 is okay, that would be here. And for our lower highs, do you think that we are bearish? Okay, so with Aussie CAD, the market is, I would still say, is bullish in terms of this structure here. We have taken out some lows here, but I wouldn't say they're significant. This is the last significant low in my eyes. So the fact that we have broken through here doesn't change anything. I'm still looking at this as a pullback for price to drive higher, back to high. So that's still my take for Aussie CAD. If we were to go and break through those lows, I'll rethink everything. But we have seen a pretty strong move down. I think that does stem from the fact that we've come into a very meaningful area of supply. Price did consolidate here for quite a while, and we had a massive break to the downside. You know, price absolutely melted to the downside there. So the fact that we have come into that area is definitely a bearish territory, and it has given us a bit of a drop there. So yeah, that, I was kind of expecting that. But I still do expect us to drive higher. So is 0.886 a good support? Yes, I do think it is. I like this kind of area of demand here to our left. Price hasn't really done well to tap into that. It would be nice if we were to get like a big piercing wick into that. But this was kind of like our low, which gave us this drive higher. And price has just kind of about tapped into it. But like I said, it would be nice to give us a bigger wick into that area. But do I think this is a reasonable level of support? Yes, I do. I think it's a nice buy. Would I be looking for the swing all the way up here? Probably not, especially given the circumstance of the market. It's very corrective, very choppy. The odds of you getting into a trade here and just catching the bounce there perfectly back to the high here is quite slim. But a buy here and a push back to resistance over here, I think makes sense. You're not looking for anything too crazy. That is a pretty reasonable expectation for us to see. And you can always lock in some gains here and try and hold on for the bigger move. But if it doesn't go your way and price does come back down, still walk away for decent trade there. Nice bounce from the low into the high. So I do think 886 is a reasonable support level to look for. I think 0.891 is a reasonable resistance to look at. And yes, I do think there's a bigger swing to be had. But a lot needs to happen for that swing to go through. A nice confluence would be a nice wick into the zone, because it kind of stops out some earlier positions here, taps into a big area of demand, and probably gives us that reaction to the upside. So that would be a nice confluence for the trade. It's not a must. We don't have to. We can rally without that happening. We were discussing this yesterday. Should you wait for the sweep of the lows or the highs first before you enter a trade? There is no right or wrong answer with that, because sometimes you will not get the sweep of the lows and you'll miss out on some nice winners. So by waiting for the sweep of the low, you will miss out on some positions, of course. But waiting for the sweep of the low is always a nice confluence for a trade. If price can sweep a low, react with it, then pull in your favor, that's a really nice confluence for a trade. But if you only wait for those situations, you will miss out on situations where we don't see the sweep. So it's a pro and con. It's a pro and con. And again, my kind of take on it is, if you do have a stab here, as long as you manage your risk, you take a loss. It's not really a big deal. If you can get a second entry for it, as long as you have a positive risk to reward, you can make back your loss and then some. So I don't really see too much wrong with it personally. But yeah, I think it's a great place for a buy. I think we can bounce. Worried about the lower highs that are being made now. Yeah, I do agree. The lower highs have kept us pretty bearish here, which is why I said if you do get along here, I would be looking to secure targets straight away at 0.889. Yeah, 889, roughly around that area. Because yes, we are still seeing lower highs, and the market can still very much keep pushing lower. We don't have to see that swing. That's what I'm expecting to happen, but we could still push lower. So buys from the low here look good, but I would secure profits around the area there, and then wait and see if we do get that bigger move. Antonio, morning, hope you're well. The only thing with dollar CHF, CHF pairs, etc., is that those significant moves down were motivated by tariff talk. New moves tend to get mirrored, and the SMB has mentioned 6 times they are planning to intervene because the currency is too strong. Okay. Fundamentals / geo fundamentals triumph every single time. Look at the monthly for the CHF pairs. I would not be selling around the region close to the all-time lows. Yeah, I do agree. That's why I've been looking to buy the CHF pairs. I was just taken out of a CHF long, New Zealand CHF long. Was it this morning or last night? No, yesterday. Yeah, I was long on New Zealand CHF. Back over here, that's from last Friday. Yeah, I was looking for a push back into resistance. Did see a nice push in my favor, but I was taking out the trade there yesterday. I'm still looking to see if I can get back involved, though. I think the bias is still... I still think the market is likely to push up. We haven't broken through any meaningful structure from a technical point of view. We are coming from all-time lows, and naturally just looking at the bigger time frames, which is of course what you mentioned. Every time the market does pierce to the all-time lows, we just rally pretty much straight afterwards. So I'm basically trying to anticipate that bigger pullback and price pushing up and CHF being weak. So New Zealand CHF was the pair I was looking to trade, or I was trading. I still think the move is still a likely move, but I just have to look to see if I can re-enter somehow. I'm also looking at Aussie CHF as well. I think that's a nice pair to look at too for a buy. If I can see a strong rejection at this support level, it does look like price is broken through it, but if I do see a strong recovery, that will entice me for a buy. And naturally looking for a swing back into the high there. As long as price doesn't take out this low, I stay bullish on Aussie CHF as well. There's a massive range here which gave us that massive dump. I do think we're still likely to come back and retest that zone. Scoot to the daily chart. Yeah, another one that's coming from all-time lows too. I do think we're likely to see some upside. So for the most part, I've been pretty bullish on the CHF pairs. More so Aussie CHF and New Zealand CHF, because I like the way they've come from all-time lows. Pound CHF, Euro CHF aren't really coming from all-time lows. CAD CHF is, but I don't really like the price action there. Dollar CHF isn't coming from all-time lows either, but I'm pretty bearish on USD as well. So I don't really want to be buying dollar CHF because I anticipate USD to be pretty weak too. Could be wrong there, but from my take, that's potentially 2 weak currencies there. So Aussie CHF, I've got a bit of faith in that one. New Zealand CHF, I've got faith in that one. We'll see if I can get some entries to get back in. No problem, Hassan. Happy to help. Pair, please. Oh, you asking what pair is it? It's on the back here, in the background. It gives you the pair and the time frame, if that's what you meant. Be careful shorting the CHF pairs next month. Several CHF news events. True. I mean, it depends on what time horizon you're looking at. If you're looking at something a bit more intraday, then you're not too concerned with that because you're trying to be in and out within the day. Of course, you're not really running into any major news events, but if there isn't a major news event, there's a good short setup on like a 50-minute chart. You can still get away with that. If you're looking for a swing trade, however, trying to hold for a few days, maybe a couple of weeks, then of course you do want to pay attention more so to that, because you're gonna be probably holding through news and through events. So you do want to take that into consideration. But yeah, I'm not really looking to short the CHF pairs. I'm only looking to buy them. Yeah, I mean, dollar CHF, I think still looks like a good short, but I think I'll stick with Aussie and New Zealand for now. Yusuf, please, thoughts on gold, euro, pound, GJ. Okay, I suppose you mean the 50-minute time frame. Antonio, what's up? Yes, I will take a look at New Zealand yen. I only have to drop the message once, my friend. You can see it. Okay, let's go through Yusuf's watch list. So, gold on the 15. It's a bit flat, to be honest. It's a bit flat. I think a nice buy setup would be, I mean, there's two ways to trade this. We're at a nice level right now. We could very much bounce from this low here and turn around. Yeah, this would be your inverse head and shoulder pattern. So there's your left head, right shoulder. So not a bad area. The safe opportunity and the more high probability one would be if we can get a break to the upside, then look to follow that with a pullback. That would be a nice opportunity, because at that point you've got structure back in your favor again. You've got, higher highs and higher lows which are for you, and then yeah, a retest of structure would be a great place to better trade from, and then swing it back to highs there as well. So overall, I would be pretty bullish here for gold on the 15, because I'm also looking to follow this structure which price is giving me. But I do want to see this kind of move here. That really sets the tone. Nothing wrong taking some buys here, but the market is arguably still kind of bearish here. So I would say it's a little bit more of an aggressive position, but it does position you well. If you can get entry there, stop loss there, you could be taking advantage of a really big swing. This, much more safer, much more convinced that price is likely to push up back to highs anyway. And not as good of an entry, but still a good setup to follow. So yeah, gold on the 15, two opportunities to keep an eye on there. It would be nice to get this set up, but then again, sometimes you get the breakout, but you don't even get the retest. So yeah, that's something we have to deal with, unfortunately. But yeah, I would be looking to see if we can rally. If this support breaks and we just clear the lows here, then yeah, I wouldn't be bullish anymore, or likely just to head back to these lows. There might be some shorts on a retest there, so keep an eye on that as well. But for now, I am pretty bullish there for gold. I do think we can rally. I'm looking at this as a big V-shaped pattern, so looking at the correction for a continuation. In terms of Euro USD on the 15-minute chart, yeah, I'm not really seeing much here on the 15, to be honest. We had a big push down. Price kind of broke through structure here. So on a 50-minute chart, that's not really a bullish signal. We've had a big rally up. We kind of topped it at the high. I am bullish on Euro on the higher time frames. I do think we can rally, but I'm not seeing a setup here that looks good for a buy. The market to me looks really flat, so I would stay away from Euro. There's not a good setup here for a long or for a short, really, on the 15. I mean, we did respect this area here pretty well. Coming back into that high on the left, we did respect it to come back down, but I wouldn't be looking to base a trade from that. What I did say early in the stream would be nice if we can get some structure back in favor of the buyers again. Then yeah, some pullbacks after would make sense. Retests of some of a high somewhere, or even the retest of that high, but something like that would look good. At least now we've got some convincing bullish structure in our favor, and we can look for a retest somewhere for a long. So that would look good. But at the moment, I would say the market's flat. No clear direction on the 15. Therefore, I would stay away. Pound USD, there is clear direction. I like the buys for this one, more so in the higher time frame. From a 50-minute perspective, you can probably try and look for a double bottom here. I think it's a bit aggressive on the 15, especially if you're looking at 50-minute candles for an entry. But it could allow you to get a really refined entry and really maximize that risk reward. So I think it's a decent opportunity here on the 15 for a double bottom, but I would probably trade this more so like an hourly or a 4-hour chart. Again, it would be nice if we can create some bullish structure in our favor again. Take out some major highs, break through these highs here as well. That will leave behind some healthy support. And then again, naturally looking for a pullback of that for a continuation. And again, the key thing I want to see for a setup is clear direction of what the market's trying to do. If I don't understand what the market's trying to do, if we're looking sideways, not really showing clear structure in a particular direction, then I want to stay away or wait for the market to develop and show me a clear direction. Something like this would be, a clear direction, a clear intention of what pound USD is trying to do on the 15. So pullbacks of that, a retest of the high would look like a really nice opportunity, and a buy from there would make sense. I like the buy here as well. Like I said, I'm more so focused on this like an hourly or a 4-hour chart, but I think it still makes a lot of sense because if I zoom out, we've got a clear-cut trend in the 4-hour. We're trading above major resistance to our left here. So this would just be a nice break and retest, a double bottom at support, and then from there I expect us to rally. So yeah, that would be a nice trade in like an hourly. 50-minute, I'll probably more focus on this situation here. And then GJ, you said GJ's been pretty bearish. We slipped to the downside. I was looking for a bounce at this area. Back over there, didn't quite get it. Then I was looking for a bounce at this area here yesterday. Didn't quite get the bounce there as well. And now we've actually broken through some structure on the 15. This was the swing low, which gave us the swing high up there. So that's your swing low, that's your structure. Price tapped into resistance there on the left, respected it very aggressively. And now we've fallen pretty aggressively to the downside. So because of that, on the 15, I would have a bearish bias, but I would like to see some type of correction here to try and catch that lower high and then the short back down again. So that's really what I'll be looking at for pound yen. Right now, we're coming back into some bullish structure or bullish territory. This is where we found a slight dip and then price rallied to the upside very aggressively. This is where the buyers are sitting to try and drive price higher. Whether they're successful or not is a different question. But I wouldn't be looking to sell at these prices, especially when we've had already a big move to the downside. I want price to correct that. So if we can get at least like the 50 or the 0.618, that would be like a healthy zone to look at. Lines up pretty well with this zone here too. That's where I was talking about some buys yesterday. So this could be a really nice area for a sell. Well, perhaps not today. I don't think we'll get there by today, maybe early next week. But I still think 195 looks like a really nice place for a short. Some entries here, something like that, and a continuation to the low, and that way you've got your higher highs and higher lows over here. Then you get the break of structure for a lower low, lower high, and then you look for your next lower low. So pound yen I would be pretty bearish on this one, looking for a bit of a correction and a short. But yeah, waiting for development there. Okay, so I'll go through New Zealand yen for Antonio. Cease Integrated, what's up, my man? Welcome to the stream, hope you're well. Can you take a look at dollar C chair for pound USD? Okay, we'll have a look. The DAX Kojo, no problem, we'll take a look. Range of market in the low time frame is heaven for scalp. But yeah, if you know what you're doing, it's heaven. If you know what you're doing, if you don't, then any condition will chew you out. But yeah, I mean, as a scalper, you're looking for quick entries, and you're looking basically for the market to react to areas. If it can chop around and react from an area to an area, that gives you a nice kind of zone just to buy and sell from. And as if you're looking to just be in and out of trade, that's kind of an optimal condition for you. Especially if you just bounce that support like 5-6 times, that's just like gives you a lot of entries there. But yeah, New Zealand yen, I've been pretty bullish on this one, but we've had a really aggressive drop there. Yen gained some strength yesterday, a lot of strength. I wasn't expecting so much, and it has pushed us down. So yeah, New Zealand yen was a setup I was eyeing up at the start of the week. I was looking for some buys in the double bottom. Didn't really present itself the way I wanted it to. And now I'm kind of just waiting to see how New Zealand yen develops, because we've had this very bullish drive here. I'm expecting to us to see a swing back to the highs there at 87.645, but I'm not seeing a setup to take advantage of that. I mean, I was talking about the retest of this zone here yesterday, but of course you can see we're trading underneath that, so that is not something that's valid anymore. So yeah, I would wait for just more development here. I'm still bullish, but I don't see a good buy. I mean, we are coming back into some areas of demand here, but I want to see us probably at least print some type of double bottom there before I would suggest a long. Then maybe we can swing it back to the highs. If we do go and break through structure here and take out these lows, well, then I'll just stay away completely. This would be like the last point of call. If you can respect this area, there could still be a long back to 86.95 and possibly back into 87.645 up at the highs there. But we need to respect this area. If not, we might just sell off to these lows and then have to go from there. But still coming back into bullish territory, so I still do expect to see a bit of a reaction at least. Even if we are coming back to these lows, I still do think we can bounce before we do push down, and that bounce could still be worthwhile to trade. But the entry is going to be very, very important to signal to us that, okay, support is holding, we're likely to rally. Right now, not really seeing much momentum. A nice double bottom, though, could do that for us. So keep an eye on that zone there, 85.750. But from a 4-hour perspective, which is where I trade, I'm not seeing anything. So I'm staying away from New Zealand yen for now. Still am bullish on the pair, but no setup to trade. As for dollar CHF, for this one, I am bearish. I'm still looking for more downside for USD. But again, not really at a place where we're looking to sell, though. We had a nice rejection. Was that Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. Nice rejection of this zone. So that was a nice short yesterday. But now we just hopped into support. So this is not the place where you're going to be looking to sell from, of course. I think there's still a good chance that we do come back to the lows here. But if you're looking to trade that, you do want to see price break support first and then short. 0.80455 would be the expectation, but a strong break of that support is necessary for us to get that set up. If not, we could still very much bounce and see another drive back into resistance. So yeah, with dollar CHF, if you're looking for trend continuation, the market as a whole is still pretty bearish, so I think shorts still look good for the time being. And I do expect USD to fall still, so that should help drive USD lower. But we need to clear support there. And if we do break resistance here, then I would be bullish on dollar CHF, and I'll look for buys back into the highs there. So that would be the buy setup I'll be interested in. Basically, just looking for price to break out this range. If we break to the low, looking for a retest, a continuation. Break to the high, looking for the retest, continuation. Fairly simple there, just waiting for price to get away from all the noise, wait for momentum to enter into the market. Strong breakout would be the sign of that. Then we can look for retests and continuations after. But for now, not really interested in the middle of that. I would stay away personally. Okay, so yeah, pound USD, same kind of situation. Still looking for USD weakness. Still kind of trading above that major resistance on the daily chart, which is keeping me very bullish on the pair. So of course you got your resistance there, taking that across. Price tested it once, second time over there, we broke through, now we used it as support. So as I mentioned earlier in the stream, a nice double bottom, I think would be a great entry signal. If we can get there again, respect it well, maybe some entries on the hourly chart, stops below the low, I think that's a sensible trade back into the highs, looking at a decent risk reward there, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, maybe even more. And possibly we might continue further as well. So it might be a situation where you leave some positions to trail. But for the time being, pound USD in a clear-cut bullish trend above major resistance. There's quite a lot of bullish confluences stacked in our favor there for pound. So as long as we don't break back underneath 1.34, I stay bullish, looking for a push back to the upside. As for the DAX, yeah, DAX is still very bullish. Again, I'm still very bullish as a whole on a lot of the major indices, NAS, S&P, Dow Jones, FTSE, the DAX. Bullish on all these markets. I do think they're going to get back to their respective all-time highs. I know the DAX has kind of already done that, to be honest. Of course, it's creating new all-time highs, but I do expect FTSE, NAS, all those other indices to get back to their highs as well. But as for the DAX, it's still looking bullish. It's still quite corrective though, so I still think there's a big drop to be had for the DAX, to be honest. This is still a very kind of corrective behavior. So yeah, I do think we'll probably grind higher as the indices do, but there will be a big relief at some point. The thing is, we don't know how to time that, especially when we're coming to all-time highs, fresh territory. Price could chug away for the next few days, few weeks even, and then it potentially might drop at a sudden time. So it's difficult to predict that short. So as a result, I would stay away from that. When it does happen, that could be a great opportunity to pick up some longs for the DAX. So that's how we can kind of take advantage of that. But for now, the buyers are in control. A nice push this morning. I wouldn't really say there's much of an opportunity anywhere really with the DAX, to be honest. I wouldn't really want to be looking to buy it now after that rally. The buyers have had their fun there. Might retrace a little bit now. So I'm not really interested in buying into the DAX here. And I'm not really interested in selling the DAX either. So unless we were to come back and respect the lows again, perhaps there could be a nice double bottom there to trade. But if we don't, then I'm not really seeing much of an opportunity here for the DAX. As a whole, the market's still bullish. I do expect us to push back to these highs and see some new ones. But I'm not seeing an opportunity unless, like I said, we come back into support to test it again. But yeah, as a whole, still very bullish on the DAX. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. GJ, we'll take a look for you. No problem. Okay, so yeah, pound gem. Well, people be mentioning pound gem today. Wrong one. So with pound yen, the lot of analysis there on the lower time frames. For this one, I'm kind of waiting for more information, especially for all my swing bias, because long term I'm actually still very bearish on pound yen. I do think the bigger move is still this. I still do expect us to completely sell off. But again, timing that is where the money is made, and I need to be patient for that. Because at the moment, I'm not the biggest fan of the market structure, because we did technically break structure. This was our swing high, which gave us the swing low there. We did technically close above that. I know it's very slight, but it still does count, whether it's slight or more obvious. So that does kind of invalidate the bearish structure somewhat. So I have been looking to follow this bullish structure for the past couple of weeks, and we have continued very well. We saw another nice swing, starting from last week coming into this week. Nice push back into resistance. We failed to, of course, break resistance there, and now we push back down. So I'm looking to see if basically this bullish structure is still going to continue, and that would mean a break to the upside and new highs, or I'm looking to see if we will break structure. And then of course that will put me back in a bearish mindset, and I'll be looking for some lower highs here on the 4-hour chart for another push down. That would be the case, but for now I'm kind of just waiting to see, because we didn't create a new higher high, so it's not a sign that we're getting continuation, but we haven't quite broke structure yet, so it's not a sign that we're reversing just yet. So we're kind of in limbo, at least from my analysis anyway, at least on the 4-hour chart too. So I'm just waiting for more information really with pound yen before I do set a bias and set an expectation. Because once I do have that bias, then I'll be looking to try and trade that. At the moment, I'm not looking for any entries whatsoever for pound yen until I get some clarity in terms of the direction. And there's quite a few yen pairs in the situation too. Euro yen's another one where I think we're kind of just very messy right now, not really showing a clear-cut trend at all. Market's very, very flat. Would I want to trade this? Absolutely not. So again, waiting for Euro yen to commit in a direction here, and then I'll be able to take advantage of hopefully somewhat of a trend or some momentum there for Euro yen as well. But I don't really have a clear-cut bias for this one too. So personally, I was staying away from pound yen, Euro yen until I get some clarity and what I'm expecting from the pair. Like I said, long term, I do think they can drop pretty hard, but that long-term bias is at the back of my mind for now because there's no clear-cut short setup just yet. Yusuf, when you use DXY as a confluence, which time frame do you use for that bias? Good question. Well, I use multiple time frames. It's not like I have to use one particular time frame, because at the end of the day, the DXY is just the USD against different markets. This is, you know, it's what the US dollars again doing against other currencies. So the monthly chart, the 50-minute chart, you know, holds just as much importance. It depends on your horizon. If you're looking to trade dollar on a 15-minute chart, well, you're not going to be concerned with what the monthly is doing, are you? Because it's the monthly chart, and vice versa as well. So if you, because I know you trade a lot on the 15-minute chart, if you're trading on the 50-minute chart, then I would focus primarily on the 50-minute chart then on the DXY, because you want to know what the dollar is going to do next on the 50-minute time frame. What the DXY is going to do next on the daily time frame. Again, it's still going to be useful information to know, okay, the daily chart might give us this swing, so I might be able to hold my trade a little bit longer than the 50-minute chart if I'm in the same direction. So from that perspective, it is useful. But in terms of trading, you know, the daily chart is going to have its own 24 hours, 50-minute chart. You'll be in and out of the market by the end of the day. So you're more concerned about the 15-minute chart on the DXY if that's the time horizon you're looking to trade on. For me, I mostly spend most of the time on the 4-hour chart on the DXY, because I spend most of the time on the 4-hour chart on other pairs too. That's the time horizon I'm looking to kind of trade on. You know, these are the type of swings I'm looking to catch. I'm not trying to catch, you know, this whole swing or this whole swing. If that's the case, I'll be more focused on like the daily chart. So yeah, focus on the time frames you're looking to trade on. There's no magical time frame to use it as a confluence. Just focus on the time frames you're looking to trade, and that will give you the best confluence for the trades you're trying to take. Don't make it too complicated. But yeah, in terms of my watch list, probably starting to look for next week now. I still do like New Zealand CAD buys. It hasn't really ripped to the upside yet. I wonder if we are still going to come back into support. If we do, I'll be ready there waiting. Still looking to see if we can get another drive lower into these lows here, and then hopefully try and spot a buy from there. Take it back into the high, and back into the highs over there. As a whole, the way I see it, we've got this big V-shaped pattern here, and I'm looking at that as a correction for continuation. So simply trying to catch that next high or low somewhere, and hopefully take that back to highs. But yeah, New Zealand CAD definitely will make the watch list for next week. New Zealand CHF, although I've been taking out break even, I will still be looking to find some re-entries for this guy as well. I like the support level here too. It's basically the same idea really. Can I get another drive into support? Can I get another reaction? Hopefully this time might be able to improve the entry a little bit, improve the risk reward back into resistance, so that would be nice. But as long as price respects support here, I would stay bullish there with New Zealand CHF, looking for a swing back into 0.49, 0.5 we'll call it. And I do think we can go higher as well, so I will leave positions to run. Aussie CHF, same situation as New Zealand CHF. This will probably make the watch list as well. I want to see what we can do at this support level over here. If I can see a sharp recovery, I will look for a long to take this back to the upside. I do think this is still the bigger move there for Aussie CHF. Just basically looking at this as a slow grind recovery, which does take its time as expected. When I do see big sell-offs like this back to lows, I'm not expecting us to reverse very quickly. I do expect a slow kind of grind higher. That's kind of what the market does over here as well. Another example is when we drop for COVID. So you can see over here, massive sell-off, slow kind of grind higher. Even that's a little bit quicker than what price is doing right now. But it's the same expectation. Markets tend to repeat themselves. So Aussie CHF longs look really good there as well, looking to take that higher. In terms of the USD pairs, dollar CAD will make the watch list. I like the sells for this one. I do think we're still likely to drop back into this zone here. So that's my expectation for next week. Really nice sell. We've got the pullback. Now let's take some more shorts back into this area. This is where all the momentum came from a few weeks back. I say a few weeks back, that's going back to September last year. Almost a whole year back. But that's where we had the momentum come from. So I do think we're likely to come back and revisit that same zone. So yeah, I do expect to see us come back to test that zone there. So dollar CAD shorts look good. I've marked out two areas which have captured my interest. 1.39395. This consolidation here, which spewed all that momentum to us. And this zone here too, which looks good too. Nice drop there to the downside. So both levels interest me. I did say if I can get some type of double top here, I will look for an entry. At the moment, not quite the case yet, but it's developing. So keeping a close eye on that. And I also like the zone up here too. Very nice level of consolidation, big drop. Again, as long as price doesn't take out this high, I remain bearish. I remain looking for sells and a push back to 1.36. So my short can take place anywhere within this range. Anywhere within here. More so, I want it to be nearer to the high, just so I'm at a better price, of course. But it stays valid as long as we don't take that high out. So yeah, dollar CAD will make the short, make the watch list. Yen pairs, I think I'll stay away from the yen pairs next week, to be honest. I'm not seeing quite clear-cut opportunities there with the yen pairs, to be honest. So yeah, I think I'll give the yen pairs a miss next week. Unless something develops that I spot, I will go through all my pairs on the weekend and look at them with a fresh set of eyes. Maybe I do spot something that I haven't seen so far this week. So maybe the yen pair, maybe a yen pair does make the watch list for me. But at the moment, I'm not seeing any opportunities really. Other USD pairs, I do like pound USD, but I think I'll just focus on dollar CAD just because I think the risk reward is a bit bigger there. Again, the double bottom looks good, but I think dollar CAD looks a little bit better. And the risk reward looks better as well. So I think I'll just spend most of my time with dollar CAD. And then in terms of the crosses, I still like Euro Aussie to the downside as well. I do think there's a big move to be had here for Euro Aussie. More so around this area. I do think we can sell off. So I'm looking to see if we can kind of like double top there and then get the drop. Still think we can come back to this area there, 1.7. So yeah, pretty bearish here for Euro Aussie. Waiting for an entry. We'll see. Hopefully we can get it some point next week. I'm looking at this 1.77 area. But so far, I'll probably say those are the pairs I'm mainly looking at for next week. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. It does really help out. I do really appreciate everyone who has done that so far. does help promote the content on the channel. And if you are enjoying it, it makes sense, doesn't it, to like the video. So I do really appreciate that. And of course, hit the bell too, so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But yeah, those are probably the main pairs I'll focus on for next week. Euro Aussie shorts, Aussie CHF longs, New Zealand CHF longs, dollar CAD shorts, and New Zealand CAD longs as well. Yeah, hopefully we can get a drive to the lows and then pick up some longs from there. But yeah, those are probably it, to be honest. Some of the other crosses, not quite there. Again, I want to focus more quality rather than quantity. I do look at a lot of pairs. There's about 32 different pairs that I do trade. But each week I kind of want to nail that down to about 5 or 6. To focus on for the week ahead. And I think I've got about 5 there. So that'll probably be it for me. Like I said, I will go through with a fresh set of eyes on the weekend. Maybe I've missed something. Maybe a pair does look good, which I haven't quite spotted. That does happen from time to time. So maybe I do add another pair to the watch list, but more so that's probably what it will look like. I was keeping an eye on Euro Pound this week, but I didn't really like the setup. It did have a nice bounce, but nothing that gave me a lot of confidence to swing this one. We have come back to a nice area of demand where we did have a really sharp rally to the upside. We have since come back and retested that zone and have had a nice reaction there. But yeah, it's not giving me a lot of confidence, so I have stayed away from Euro Pound. I haven't removed it from my watch list for this week, but it's already Friday, and I doubt I'll find an entry. Mark, what is your entry time frame and methodology? In terms of methodology, talking about methodology for my entry, I assume so. But yeah, in terms of the entry time frame, 4-hour chart is where I enter my trades. In terms of the method behind it, I keep it relatively simple. I focus primarily on engulfing candles. And I do pay a lot of attention to wicks as well. The best combination is if I can find a nice, long, exaggerated wick at support, accompanied with a nice engulfing candle, or resistance, of course, then that would give me the perfect entry for me. A nice big wick, a nice shift of momentum with the engulfing candle. That would give me a nice entry for a buy. Of course, for the sell, be a nice wick into resistance, a nice bearish engulfing candle for a sell. But yeah, those are my entries. 90% of them look like that. Fundamentals don't sort Euro Pound longs, in my opinion. Well, the technicals are not really supporting it either, too, at this point. Not really seeing much evidence for a decent buy there. No problem, Mark. Happy to help. I think I'll probably also keep an eye on GB CAD. I think there could be a big sell of this one. The price action is looking horrendous at the moment, so I'm not looking at getting involved, but I do think pound CAD, although it has been pretty bullish, I do feel like a top is going to form pretty soon. So I am very interested in some longer term sells here, but just being very patient. And I like how price is moving. It's very corrective on the way up, which tells me there's not a lot of momentum. The trend is not looking healthy. It was over here with all that momentum, but now it's very, very sluggish, very choppy. So I still do expect us to take the highs out and continue, but I think a reversal is going to be on the cards shortly afterwards. And I like the reversal opportunity because of how stretched the market is. We've been trending to the upside since the low here, September 2022. Since September 2022, the market's been trending up. So, we're talking multiple years here. I do think we can at least have some type of pullback, even if it's not a reversal. I do think we can have at least some type of move to the downside, which will be worthwhile, even if the market is going to turn back again to the upside and continue the trend. Probably find some nice buys back up again. But for the time being, I do think the shorts is where it's going to be at for pound CAD. So I don't really see a setup yet. I'm just keeping this at the back of my mind for now. Something that over the next few days could develop really well. I still think we're likely to push the upside first before we do turn around and get the short term after. So it's definitely a setup probably for maybe even the week after next, really. But the grind higher is definitely something I'm noting. And its partner in crime, EuroCAD, is also pretty flat too. And another market which looks to be pretty tired as a whole. Quite overextended. We rallied from the low July 22, September 22, so same situation as well. We back at some major resistance. I know Euro as a whole has been pretty bullish as well, and CAD has definitely been very bearish. But I think there could be a change in sentiment. At the moment, price action not really backing that up. Market looks incredibly flat, but again, that's the key sign to show us that we're starting to struggle now. So if I can start to see some signs of reversal, I'll be all over that. And again, this might still take at least a week to set up, to be honest. So these pairs I'll keep an eye on. Maybe I might trade them towards the end of next week. But I do think there's a lot of downside to be had. What's my favorite pair? Probably pound yen. Between pound yen and pound USD. Yeah, those are the pairs there. Those are two pairs that I find the most success on. So by default, they're my favorite pairs, I guess. But I don't really care too much about the pair. I'm more concerned about the setup. Because if there's a good setup on like Aussie CAD, I'm not going to turn it down. But if there's a good setup on Aussie CAD and a good setup on pound yen, I would trade pound yen. Not only because it's more profitable for me, just because it's a little bit cleaner and it moves more. So, I could take an identical trade in Aussie CAD, identical trade in pound yen, but I'm probably more likely to get a 3-4 on pound yen, and I'll probably get 1-2 in the same amount of time. So because of that, I would rather trade pound yen. But again, a winner is still a winner. Aussie CAD can still give you some nice opportunities, but it's just a bit more of a confined pair. So by default, the minor pairs are never going to be my favorite, even though technically pound yen is not really it technically is a minor pair. But the yen pairs are something else, of course. They can be very, very volatile in the right conditions. And pound USD is pretty good. I think it's nice and tidy. Not too erratic behavior. Still gives some decent swings as well. Not as hard hitting as pound yen, but still gives you some nice moves too. No problem. I've been trading for 8 years now. It'll be 8 years this summer. So it's been a minute. Quite a few minutes actually. But anyway, guys, we have come up to the end of the stream. Unfortunately, I will be live again every weekday next week. So Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. If you have enjoyed what you have, I don't know what the correct word is. I was going to say witness, but it's not like you've witnessed anything spectacular. It's just me on the charts. But yeah, if you have enjoyed the stream today, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. Of course, make sure you hit the bell too, so you don't miss out on any uploads in the future. I know 8 years is a bloody long time. It doesn't feel like 8 years, to be honest, but I first got introduced to trading when I was 17. And I'm 25 now, so it's been a while. Yeah. I mean, he's what put me onto trading, to be honest. So I am grateful for that. I mean, I'm sure I would have found some ads somewhere with a guy in a Lambo, which would have attracted me to trading anyway. But yeah, my dad introduced me first. But yeah, guys, if you do me a favor, drop a like on the stream. It does really help out, promotes the content, and it helps the channel grow. So I do really appreciate that. Check out the Discord as well for elevating traders. Completely free to join. You can join the community, share ideas there, see what other people are trading. I share some ideas there too. So if you're interested, go check it out. Completely free to join. Link in the description. But guys, I will be posting my analysis on Saturday as always, so look out for that. That will recap this week's price action and forecast the next and some of the pairs I'm looking to trade next week. So if you do want to see what I'm looking at going into the week ahead, be sure to check out that video, which will drop tomorrow. But besides from that, we'll be live again next week, as always, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, pop in, come say hi. But guys, really appreciate it. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. And I'll catch you all next week.